the Yorkshire Hind. It's a Stephen Beane shoe. I've not really seen anything like it. It's pretty similar to a Scottish heel, except it's widened in the heel by flattening it out. The check on either a Scottish heel or this Yorkshire heel is the fact that you want to have this check lined up with the commissure of the frog to where you're not over the top of the frog, but yet you still got full width. The inside heel is obviously going to be leaning in slightly. If you look at the shoe, everything on the shoe is leaning this way for posterior support, for lateral support. You're safe on the inside of the heel. It's made out of 14 3/4 inches. It's a good forging exercise. I think it's a lot like a Roadster as far as you got a lot of bumping, drawing, and just want to see a foot. I think the most impressive thing about this shoe is it's a Hind shoe. It really looks like a foot. I think I could nail it right on something. I've had a few goes at it. I haven't made one that I quite like, but the one thing I noticed right off the bat is this is a lot of flattening in the shoe. It's made out of 1 1/4 by 1/2. No matter if it's a short piece or not, you want to bump the toe, because if you don't bump the toe and you try to get some material in there by running your edges, you usually get a little bit of hourglass on the top side and the bottom side, or the inside and the outside. So you want to at least bump the toe to where you have mass to where you can forge it back out. Bumping the toe is always a good idea, just because you want to be able to remove that material if you need to, instead of wishing you had it. 7 nail holes and E8. So I'm going to mark this shoe 1/4 inch off center, which is 1/2 inch more material on the lateral side, because there's just not this. All the material that we're going to gain is going to be sweetening up this inside branch, and the heel cock's not going to take as much as a person would think. So we're going to make the shoe, basically we've got the Scottish heel on the outside and a nice regular cock and heel on the inside. Alright, we've got 14 3/4. We're going to be a 1/2 inch off center. What I'm going to do, so that I don't have that mark to where it gets in the way, I can still fudge, and I'm just going to put my tongs in there, find my center punch mark, and give me a good whack on the edge. That way it doesn't draw my eye if I'm off a little bit. I mean, that 1/2 inch more material, I'm going to heat up right here, bump it, and turn it. But if I have that center punch mark, you always tend to want to gravitate towards that and make your, if it's off to the side, it's just nasty. So we'll put it on the edge just so we can cheat if we need to. Alright, there's my center punch mark. I'm just going to bump a little bit of material in there. Looking at my center punch mark, just kind of pulling it back towards. I'm going to leave the toe kind of soft. When I say soft, it's a bit open, because I don't want to commit to having a real tight toe, because if I'm a little off on the outside or the inside, I can push it up and down before I put my nail holes in it. I'm going to do the outside, the inside branch first. I'm going to put the heel cock and put the inside. Reason being, it's hard to make that outside heel if you don't have nothing to compare it to. So it's just easier for me to compare it to the inside branch other than checking that thing. Alright, this would be the foot surface, the ground surface right here. So I'm going to start off so I don't get any nasty marks. I'm just going to kind of clean up. Right in the toe, come here, draw it down. When you draw the material down, I'm making a square on the end. That's the easiest thing to forge a heel cock. I'm pulling with my hammer. I'm just letting that stuff slide behind. You can see I'm going to start cocking it out. And then I'm trying to draw it back towards me. Start setting it down, get some of that thickness. I've got plenty of material. I can still let some slide away, but I'm going to try and fill this back corner with material. I'm picking up on the outside, and I can hold it flat on the inside. Again, picking up, and then I'm going to have it at an angle and backing it back towards the face of the anvil. Keeping this front end out of your way, the front edge of the cock, so that I can get it all the way up against the edge of the heel cock here and a half blow. Again, picking up, letting it sit flat. This lets it clean out for the edge of the commissure. Keeping this from curling forward, just getting this out of your way. When I get that out of the way, I can pick up, pull my corner tight, pull, and I'm going to do a half blow. That makes for a very nice crisp corner in there. No cold shunts. My tongs and slowly slide it back. Take a look at it. Now I'm gonna go out to the heel quarter and then come back over the top. Now I'll get on this side of the anvil for demonstration purposes, but I want that heel to follow through, so I'm going to push down a little bit and go right through my heel. What that does is it allows that heel to come around, but still continuation of the branch, and the heel cock's just not like donkeyed on there. So what I'm going to do is push, just hit this outside corner and bring it all the way around. Got a nice quarter in there. I've got pretty much half a shoe done. Got my heel cock pretty close to line of travel, and I clean out if it was going to fit on the heel out, so where I can clean out for the commissure and the extension of the frog. On making these sheared off, turned up heels, the ruler is kind of the extension of the face of the anvil coming up. I don't want my hammer, no matter how much I tilt this, I don't want my hammer to come up onto the face of the anvil. So my hammer blows are going to be drawn towards me, and they're never going to come past the face of the anvil. On top of that, if you pick up too much, you make a tighter corner on the bottom. So you want to start off with your shearing just barely up off the face of the anvil so the corner digs in, and don't get so high because you cheat the outside edge material. Alright, hold it over the edge, pick it up slightly. See how I'm starting out on that edge? I come in, I'm shearing down. Take and push this down and create the corner right there. I'm going to flatten it up and repeat the process just a little bit to clean all my lines up. Now, put it where the heel quarter is, push with my tongs, and I'm going to hit right behind the heel cock. Be patient. Now take your heel cock and finish it on out. I'm going to start right here and run out to the heel quarter and bring it in. This part is widened by flattening it up. So we've got all this material here, run it down to about 3/8 and get a little bit of width and length. From what I read in the shoe, and I may be reading mine, but he wants to fit it with some width without getting it too much length and cleaning up that quarter. Because you don't want a real sharp, tight bend, you want it to flow. So by not following it in, he can hit the edge of the buttress and still have some width by not hooking it in. Alright, we'll pin it. I'm going to hit this corner, bringing it down. Perfect. Straighten it up with line of travel and then pull it down straight. You can even straighten it up a bit like this, right in here. I'll mark my nail holes and we'll be set. I use a stem punch to punch nail holes in plain stamped steel. I like to get them in there with a tight nail hole so that if I need to straighten them up with the branch, if I have to move them a little bit, all I do is come back with the full size punch and push out the sides and square everything up. I've got a nice tight nail hole. I'm down the center of the stock in the back. And now I'll take my punch. And a good punch, because if you got a punch all dialed in, you don't want to make it do the heavy labor. So now I just come in and I clean the edges up. That just cleans and pushes out the edges. It's not abusing the punch, it's just cleaning everything up. So then you look at it, they're nice clean holes with no abuse to, like having an old rope horse. You don't need to run a bunch of practice cattle on him just to prove that he's still good. It's a high quarter, so the nails are a little bit tight, but that's the way, if you're trying to fix this outside heel quarter, you don't want to be back in the bend. Got my nails down just slightly inside the center. I think that where I missed the boat a little bit is that he really wants to see this come in. And I mean, I'm almost oh-so there, but it just needs to come in a little bit more. I think the outside I hit pretty good. The heel cock's underneath. When you look at it, the heel cock's leaning in. It's safe. It's all rounded off. Nail placement is pretty much down the center. Nice hind shape. Like I say, I think that this is very important to save this material as much as possible and widen it out. If you don't think that you can get that in there, a couple backup hits at the end before you shear it down might give you a little bit of material to start with.